Hey everyone, Ross McCorkle here with another episode of the Depot 180. The first day of voluntary OTAs are in the books for the Steelers, and the biggest news was about who was not there rather than the majority of the team that attended. First, Aaron Rodgers did not end up signing his contract and reporting to OTAs. Again, these are voluntary, but team president Art Rooney expressed a preference for Rodgers to be at some of the offseason stuff if his intention was to eventually sign with the team. I suppose it's possible for him to sign ahead of the second week of OTAs since there are only 6 total practices, but the real deadline to watch will be ahead of June 10th when mandatory minicamp happens. If he doesn't report by then the Kirk Cousins reports that have been popping up all over the media landscape might be more meaningful than they initially looked. Jeremy Fowler reported that he's on the Steelers' radar at the very least. The timing of those reports gave me pause as it makes me worry the Steelers are losing confidence in the Rodgers situation, though that may just be me overthinking things. For now, there is no real reason to believe Rodgers won't eventually sign, though Kirk Cousins did not report to OTAs with the Falcons. As for the other players that didn't report to voluntary OTAs, TJ Watt was absent. He is entering the final year of his contract and is due to get paid. Myles Garrett received $40 million per season, and Watt is likely going to get a hair over that. Don't expect him to show up until he gets that life-changing money, and don't expect that to happen until later in the summer. Last time it dragged on until just before the start of the season. Also absent were wide receiver DK Metcalf and cornerback Darius Slay. I can understand veterans not showing up who have been a part of the team and have little to gain from OTAs, but Metcalf and Slay not showing up was a bit surprising. Metcalf was there for the rest of the program earlier in the month and last month, and I'm not quite sure about the status of Slay there, but maybe one or both will show up tomorrow and they just had some kind of commitment outside of football. Rodgers, Watt, Slay, and Metcalf represent 4 pretty significant players on this team. Of course, that is if Rodgers ends up signing. That would be a pretty significant chunk of money between those 4 players, too. It's not the end of the world at voluntary OTAs, but that will continue to be the story over the next week if some of them don't show up. Of course, Rodgers won't until he signs his contract. Adam Schefter seems to think the Steelers would be willing to wait all the way until the start of the regular season for him to sign. I shudder at the thought. Let me know how you enjoyed the video on Twitter at Ross_McCorkle, and as always, visit SteelersDepot.com for your latest and greatest Steelers breaking news and analysis.